Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Porch Side in Tennessee. It is bright, but really comfortable today. We have beautiful weather today. So let's get started. This week, the world has been deafening. And here I am talking about silence today. Hey, friends. Welcome to From the Threshold. I'm Renee Hill, and each Saturday I come to you from my own front porch, my literal threshold, to offer you a moment of reflection for anyone living a creative life. My hope is that it becomes a place where you can reconnect with your creative story with a little more compassion and joy. So these episodes, they're just one part of a bigger rhythm. Each month, I create a journey book to give you the space to work through these same themes more deeply. And this month's journey book is ready for you. It's called Unmuted, and it's on Amazon now, and I'll drop the link below for later. Normally, I would also be inviting you to a workshop to go with it, which I did last week. However, this time I made a little shift. We're going to do things a little differently. And instead of gathering live, I'm going to create a pre-recorded version for you. So you can walk through it at your own schedule, in your own space. It'll still give you the room to explore and reclaim your voice through hands-on creativity. So as we talk about silence today, you're going to hear both sides of it, the kind that cost us and the kind that we choose. And you're going to see how that ties into where I'm headed and where this space is headed to. So y'all, this week has been a lot in the news, a lot in social feeds, a lot in my own head, and a lot of decisions and new things happening in our lives, my life, my family's life. So let's talk about volume for a moment. This week has been crushingly loud, even in places where it's not usually that common. The volume of voices has been overwhelming. Everywhere I turned, there was opinions being screamed, arguments, accusations, declarations, demands, all of them loud and all of them at once. I found this especially ironic because this week I am supposed to be talking about silence. Silence can feel like a refuge, a pause, a breath, a chance to step back from the noise and to let your nervous system settle. Sometimes it feels like the most compassionate thing we can give ourselves, a break from the constant demands to react and respond or perform. This week, that kind of silence has looked like withdrawal for me, pulling away from the stridency of the noises that seem, or the voices that seem to be everywhere all the time. And it's not because I don't care. It's because I can't absorb it all and still stay healthy. Silence as a refuge is a way of self-preservation. But silence can also feel like absence, a shutting down, a wall that cuts us off from our own clarity, our own voice, our own sense of agency. When silence stretches too long, or it hasn't been your own choice to be silent, it can become a block, a place where words dry up, creativity feels stuck, and we start to lose touch with ourselves. That's the paradox of silence. It holds two very different possibilities. It can be nourishing, or it can be eroding. It can be wisdom and listening and tending the soil where creativity germinates, or it can be heavy and suffocating and disconnecting and lonely. And the truth is that most of us have known both of those kinds of silence to some degree in each of our lives. We know what it feels like to rest in silence, maybe to take a walk in the woods or sit in a quiet room or stitch or write or paint or dance without distraction. Those silences restore us. And we also know the other kind of silence, the one that isn't chosen, the silence that comes from fear or exhaustion or suppression, the silence that creeps in when we don't feel safe enough to speak, or when we've been shut down so often that voicing ourselves feels pointless. That kind of silence takes something from us. It erodes our connection to ourselves and eventually our connection to others. So when I sat down to plan this episode, I was going to talk about that cost of silence and how it slowly strips away our sense of self and our clarity and our agency, about how dangerous that it can be when our voices, creative or otherwise, go missing. But in the middle of this crazy loud week, I have internal voices talking too, and I've been listening. No matter how loud the world is screaming, we need to pay attention to our own voice. And that takes effort in our culture right now. But that's the silence that I've decided to talk about today. The silence that we choose. The silence that we choose is different. It is not imposed on us from the outside. It isn't the product of fear or suppression. It's a decision to step back, to create space, to allow ourselves the room to breathe and to listen. And honestly, that's where I am right now in a variety of different ways. For the past few months, I've been carrying a lot of questions. Questions about my voice, about the work that I'm called to do, about how best to serve in this moment that we are living through. Last month, I talked a lot about transitions and about how to move through them with wisdom and courage, and I've been doing that work right alongside you. I have this personality quirk. I usually see very quickly what should happen next. The path forward is typically clear. I usually know at least what next step to take. But lately, I've been in this liminal state that's frustrating. And I've been finding my way forward by doing, not just by thinking. Some of that doing has been creativity. Some of it has been writing or talking with you here on the porch. Some of it has been taking stumbling steps into the next thing without knowing exactly where it was leading. And that is exactly the experience of liminal space. But in the past few weeks, a few things became clear. I've scheduled for multiple training programs in the last quarter of this year, in narrative practice, in expressive arts, in nervous system training. And that wasn't originally on my plan for the end of the year and is going to take up some space. Second, I'm stepping back into the job market. That shift will allow me to take a longer view and give myself more time to develop the kind of work that I've been talking about here at Limina, work that uses creativity as a path to wholeness. But I will probably be doing it in a different context. We live in a hurting world, and that has never been more evident than this week. There are people on the front lines every day facing that hurt head on. Educators, social workers, law enforcement, nonprofit leaders, wellness workers. They are often exhausted and burned out and suffering from compassion fatigue. And we need them not to quit. We need them to be able to keep doing good in the world. So I want to help the helpers. I want to give them tools and training to help them take care of themselves so that they can continue to care for others. So I'm going to take the work that I've been doing with individuals and I'm going to shift it to organizations. This podcast has been a real gift to me. It's been a space to show up consistently, to speak out loud the things that I've been wrestling with inside, to invite you into that process. It's given me a rhythm and a connection with you, my listeners, that I value deeply. But as I've walked through these weeks thinking about transitions and voice, I've been listening to my own and it's telling me that I need to use it differently. So in the midst of all the noise right now, I'm going to choose silence for a time. Doesn't mean I'm disappearing. It means that I'm pressing pause on this show for a season so that I can listen more deeply and prepare. It means that I'm making room to realign and discern and set things in place for what comes next. My work is shifting towards training and working with organizations, schools, nonprofit, mission-driven teams who are carrying the crushing weight of burnout and disconnection. The need there is urgent, and I feel called to step into it. I believe that creativity has a role to play not just in our own personal lives, but in the systems that we live and work inside. That's the work that I'm preparing for. But before I can pour into that, I have to give myself permission to step back from here. I need to honor the kind of silence that is not absence, but presence, not a block, but a clearing. The kind of silence that lets me listen to my own voice more closely so that when I return, I can speak with clarity and conviction. So this is where I am right now, choosing silence for a season. I'm wearing my permission hat today. It says, "This is my permission hat." And it's to give myself permission to change and adjust course. Because I do carry some guilt about doing this after doing this broadcast for 5 months and then going quiet. And I know it might feel sudden, especially if you've come to count on these weekly reflections, and I don't take that lightly. Your listening, your presence, your willingness to spend time with me here has mattered more than I can fully express. But I also believe that endings and pauses, these thresholds, are important. They're invitations to step across into what's next, even if we don't see the full landscape yet. So that's where I am, standing on this threshold, trusting that chosen silence will give me some space I need to step into what comes next. So before I close today, I do want to say thank you. Thank you for listening, for showing up with me week after week, whether you've been here since the very first episode 5 months ago or whether this is your very first one. This space only matters because you are a part of it. Your presence on the other side of the microphone, even though I couldn't see you, gave these words weight and turned reflections into conversations, turned silence into connection. So I hope that somewhere along the way, something here has reminded you that your voice matters, that your creativity is worth tending, and that your story deserves to be heard. Because if you take nothing else with you from this season, I hope you carry that truth. Your voice matters, even when the world is loud, even when you feel small, even when silence is easier. So as I step back, I'm carrying those truths with me too. Trusting that this chosen silence will make space for what's next, a next chapter that still grows out of the same roots of creativity and presence and wholeness. For those of you who follow me along in my email list, I will still be writing weekly, so you can still catch up with me there. I don't know exactly what shape this space will take in the future. Maybe I'll return here in a new form. Maybe the work will find another outlet. Whatever comes, know that the season with you has been deeply meaningful for me. So I will leave you I will leave you with this. Pay attention to how silence is showing up in your life. Is it offering you rest? Is it holding you back? Or is it doing both at once? Give it a shape somehow. You can put a word or a color or a stitch or a mark on a page, not to try to fix it or eliminate the silence, but simply to let it exist outside of you as something separate from you. Not to keep it visible necessarily, but to keep it from being hidden, to give it a space to be noticed. Because sometimes the most courageous act is not to add more noise, but to choose silence. So that's where I'll be for now, listening, tending, and finding what's next. Until we meet again, stay passionately curious. Have a good day, y'all.